There seems to be some deep confusion, even in the conservative movement, about General Motors and it being saved. It has not been saved, and it has not benefited the American public now or in the long run. Let's look at the facts, since libs are completely lacking them and many people on the right haven't read up. GM is not doing well. At all. Yes, we know Obama, all after the bailout and during the second campaign trail, purported otherwise, flashing a shiny disco ball while saying, GM is staying alive. But that's about as true as the Earth being several million degrees just under the surface, which is incredibly hot, so we're told. May possibly be a stutter. GM took the bailout money and is doing horrible business, while Ford, which did not take any stimulus money, is doing very well, economically considering. Toyota, even in January 2013, surpassed GM in sales. In fact, GM got a deal Toyota, Ford, and all the other automakers did not recently. The government gave them a deal. Well, actually, it was for any company that took stimulus money. Companies that did take stimulus money can keep tax breaks they got under the deal with some fuzzy governmental math. They can keep future profits from the IRS based on past losses, which means in the coming years, GM will save somewhere north of $45 billion. This will not be profit, though people on the left will tout it as such, trying to keep Obama in the limelight. What it will be is $45 billion in tax money we won't ever see. It's pretty easy to report profits when you're bailed out, have future profits saved from the IRS, and went bankrupt and were able to offload over $30 billion in debt when you reemerge. When they filed for bankruptcy, news reports said they had a, quote, reported debt of $172.8 billion and only, quote, $82.29 billion in assets. News reports said GM got only $50 billion from TARP, the stimulus bailout Obama dollars, whatever you want to call it. Let's do some math. $172.8 billion minus $50 billion equals $122.8 billion in debt. GM still has over $100 billion in debt. Doesn't look or sound like Obama saved them. And despite what you hear bandied about, we've not been paid back all the money. Actually, from TARP and the government, they got over $50 billion. But that's the number I'll use here. Yes, 2 loans of billions. We're actually still owed about $27 billion from GM. They've not ponied up completely. And unless you all forgot, I know it was poorly reported by the left-wing media, they paid us back using a loan. GM paid back part of the government's loan with, drumroll, TARP money. Well, that's right. They used one bailout to pay back the other bailout. And oh my goodness, you want to talk about fuzzy math here? Here it is. They took about $5 billion in TARP money to pay back the government, the U.S. Treasury to be more specific, which gave them the second loan. So, do we, the taxpayers, get that TARP money back? Because if we do, then you can add another $5 billion in losses to the $122.8 billion in loss they already have. If we use this kind of math to say Obama saved GM, then why, all the people who are under and losing their houses, Obama saved them. What do you know? And on top of all that, the Department of Energy gave them, with no payback required, $2.7 million. Oh, how generous. More of our money. But that's not even half the story. You know why GM is making a profit if we ignore the $122.8 billion in debt? Well, turns out Obama has been giving them business. Over 79% of GM sales lately have been from the federal government. Wow, what a coincidence. That's the high so far, which means before the high, the government has been steadily rising to 79% in state and national purchases from GM. In perspective, if they didn't get that 79% of those purchases, that would mean 21% purchase sales. Or realistically, it could be more than that with other factors, but even if we doubled that, at 40%, No automaker can turn a profit and survive and be saved by billions of debt and barely selling any cars. Again, in perspective, GST Steel had $553.9 million in debt when it filed for bankruptcy, and they did go under. Not being Bain or Romney's fault, by the way. Then Senator Obama proposed no bailout for GST Steel. As one news article reports, stockholders aren't seeing any return on all this profit. Stock prices are down, and GM reported in 2012 they've lost over 40% of their net income over the same time in 2011. A serious nosedive. Does this sound like a thriving company back from the dead? But GM management doesn't seem to care, spending $600 million in promos for soccer over in the UK. And why not? That's only a fraction of the $27 billion they still owe us. It's not even their money. And even if they repaid us back, we would not personally see the money back, and GM would still be in debt by over $100 billion. In the end, GM is only $50 billion in debt away from where they once were when they filed for bankruptcy, and were going to go under. And if it wasn't for the 79% of purchases from the government, GM would be in bankruptcy again. Obama has not saved GM. He has kept it afloat so it wouldn't implode during his second presidential campaign trail, which is what GM is teetering on. Meanwhile, GM has moved production of the Chevy Volt, which also failed to the point where our taxpayer money was being used to subsidize each vehicle so it would be cheaper and more appealing to consumers, epic fail, to communist China. I'm not sure if this is one of the existing plants there, or the new one GM said in 2011 it was building there. Hey, I wonder if any of that $27 billion on old monies will be used to build that plant there. Just asking. Ford, by the way, has also started work on a new plant in China. Recently, the U.S. edged out every country on earth to be the winner of the highest corporate tax rates, which means it's now cheaper to do business in communist China, Russia, Cuba, etc. We're number one and sticking it to ya. Russia, by the way, last I heard, was only 13% rate. You can go to YouTube and see the GM CEO talking up China and how they plan to do more business there. China, of course, being the country where males bring in more money to a family so women will have abortions until they give birth to a male, with over 30 million abortions each year, as I recall. And where it's common practice for doctors to use a syringe to puncture the baby's skull as it's coming out and inject the brain with alcohol so it's born dead if it's a woman. And for doctors that don't do that, they have trash cans where they throw the babies in there if the mother declines the child or did not get the government permit to give birth, and the baby is left crying until it dies sometime 1 or 2 days later. I mean, just go over there and watch how happy he is about his partnership with China. Oh my goodness. GM has not turned the corner. In fact, it's so close enough to see the corner it was standing on when it went bankrupt. But their lack of sales during and after Obama are their fault. Companies go under, folks, all the time. Big ones and small ones shut doors. Picking winners, as Obama tried to do, is something they do in despotic societies like communist China. You don't unilaterally pick winners and decide to spend taxpayer money on it. Just because a company files for bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean it goes under permanently. It sheds debt through deals, restructures, reorganizes, tries to see what they did wrong and fix it. Then it opens and tries again in some cases. GM might have opened again, or it might have shut down again. Actually, it would not have shut down. What you are all forgetting is that it would cease operations here in the United States. It'll still be open in other countries. GM has plants and partnerships in over 31 countries, including the aforementioned China. What we would lose is jobs here in America. That's it. But other automotive dealerships would hire some of those people as sales pick up from business, and people who bought from GM go to Ford and Honda, for example. But now, with the Bush tax rates having expired and Obama finally getting his years of class warfare fever dreams into actual practice, the American people will have to pay more for their new vehicles, and the competition, Toyota, Ford, Honda, etc., will have to pay higher taxes while GM is shielded from over $45 billion in taxes for years to come, possibly more depending on whether the deal cut with the government adjusts for inflation and tax hikes. Either way, they'll be saving more money while the competition is forking out more. The ordeal of GM, mark my words, is not over. The use of taxpayer money to bail them out has not concluded. GM will face bankruptcy peril again, and Obama will bail them out again. Like in communist command societies, he'll pick the winner and so generously speak for our money to prop up GM. Assuming Obama does not use fiat or executive order, or whatever bastardization of our system he can find to legally circumvent Congress and resume dictatorial ruling unfettered, the real questions come down to two. When will the House of Representatives, which controls the purse of our nation, put their foot down and refuse to let him have the money? Not that it matters much, as is for show since the first Obama stimulus was built into the baseline budget. Which automaker next in line with high debt and low sales will seek a bailout rather than bankruptcy? In profit-to-debt ratio, how's Hyundai doing? How about Kia? Driving a car that shares initials with Killed in Action already has some ominous tones to it. So, in short, Obama lied, and GM is not doing well. I know, stop the presses, Obama lied, but consider how easily Americans fell for it. Also, consider this one last thought. While you've been reading about the bailout of General Motors, did it occur to you that any other leading non-automaker corporations that are popular and connected in some way to the Obama administration might also be facing possible or nearing bankruptcy? Because the buck doesn't stop with Obama, and it just keeps on coming and coming and coming. And pretty soon it might be, the yen stops with me. That's what I originally wrote several months ago. But the story didn't end here. You see, a few days ago in late October 2013, a new report came out. The government has booked a loss of $9.7 billion from General Motors. Oh, that's right. There's more money we won't get back. Oh, isn't the U.S. Treasury so kind? They know better what to do with our money than we do. I mean, we're just fools. We're too stupid to pick our light bulbs in our own toilets. We're smart enough to vote for the people that get in office. Just not those things. I wonder what bailout is coming next.